The Diamondbacks conclude their series against the Angels. They take the rubber match. Eduardo Rodriguez deals. Are the Diamondbacks back on their way towards an NL wildcard spot?
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm George Lund, your new host of Locked On Diamondbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Happy to be here, and also happy to be here reporting from a Diamondbacks series win. They win 8-1 yesterday over the Angels, their second straight series win. They're just half a game back of a wild card spot now. It's their first back-to-back series win since the series wins over the Rockies and the Giants at the end of May, before they lost 3 of their next 4 series, including a series split to the Dodgers. Now the question arises, are the Diamondbacks back on track? I think they are. I think this is a step in the right direction. Obviously, the beginning of June, the end of May did not go the way the Diamondbacks wanted it to go. It's really brought up some issues. Runners in scoring position, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly have had some rough starts. It's been a rough, shaky go of things. The injuries, they've been waiting to get a few guys back. But I feel like the last 2 series, the series win over Cincinnati over the weekend, and then this series now over the Angels, it's brought to light a lot of positives. There's a lot of reinforcements coming in the near future and in the distant future. But I felt really good about how this series concluded, especially today with how bad the Diamondbacks offense have been. One of the worst offenses in the entire league in the last month or so. And you score 8 runs to conclude the series. You have a lot of big showings from some guys you need to get going. We talk about Ketel Marte. We talk about Geraldo Perdomo. But there's some other contributors that the Diamondbacks are going to need to step up as the season goes on. And I think you saw a lot of that today. The pitching, it's been up and down. Obviously, there's been questions about Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, even bringing those guys back in the first place. But Eduardo Rodriguez was great once again. He lowered his ERA to the 5th lowest in the entire big leagues. It sits right now at a 2.45. He had 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about his outing later because I do really want to talk about the offense. Like I mentioned earlier, the offense has been a big struggle. Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo have been better as of late. They've really started to pick it up. Perdomo is back in the 2-hole. Marte's hitting a little better in that leadoff spot. So you knew those guys were going to come around eventually. Corbin Carroll is just the superstar that he is every day of the week, no matter what the situation provides. You're never really worried about him. But some of the other depth pieces, Jordan Lawlar came back from injury. He was really good over the weekend. 2 hits, 2 stolen bases, a jumping catch against the Reds in that win. You have a few other guys back now. Tommy Troy didn't go down. Ryan Walchman went down instead of as Lourdes Gurriel went back up. Ryan Walchman was called down. Tommy Troy stayed there, showed the confidence in the development and the at-bats that he's had better as of late. Obviously a homer against LA, a homer against the Reds. He looked great again. We'll talk about him in just a little bit here. Talking about just how this game went. Phenomenal game. A 5-run second inning ended up kind of flipping how this game went. The Angels actually took a 1-0 lead, and something I just wanted to touch on really quickly. Zach Neto hit a leadoff homer, which he's coming off a game where he had a triple and a homer yesterday. But it was really funny because I was kind of looking at this, and I thought it was really just funny. But Zach Neto actually should have struck out right here. You can see that 4th pitch, or if you're in audio, it hit the top right corner of the strike zone, and the ump didn't call it a strike. Gabriel Moreno didn't challenge it. But kind of looking at what's funny about that is Gabriel Moreno has only challenged 3 pitches in that upper part of the strike zone all season. But the Diamondbacks they have a 67% success rate on defense. And they have the best success rate in baseball on hitter challenges. So they're one of the best challenging teams in the big leagues, but they're 24th in total catcher challenges and 26th in hitting challenge. So they don't really challenge pitches. So that was totally off topic, but I just thought that was interesting. Just kind of looking at how successful the Diamondbacks have been at challenging pitches, but they aren't really challenging any of them. But anyways, of course, the story was the offense. You look at a 5-run second inning after the Angels take a 1-0 lead. Vargas walked, which he had a 2-walk day. You'll take that every day of the week for how poor his at-bats have been as of late after starting out as one of the best hitters in the league back there in April. But 2 quick outs before Tommy Troy came up and tripled into the left center gap. It was his first career triple. It was his 5th extra base hit in just 21 MLB games. Then the floodgates opened. Marte was hit by a pitch. Perdomo with a nice walk. He's gone on base about 450 over the last 14 days. He's been great. The at-bats have gotten consistently better. The 2-strike hitting has gotten better. He's getting deeper in accounts like we saw from Perdomo last year. The power has not necessarily been 20 homer power, or maybe not just yet, but Perdomo and how we're used to seeing Perdomo has consistently started to arise again, and that's really important. And then Corbin Carroll launched his 13th homer of the season, a grand slam on kind of an inside changeup, his 5th career grand slam, which actually ties Eugenio Suarez for the 2nd most grand slams in Diamondbacks history. A big day again. He continues to build the Corbin Carroll legend, and who knows? He signed that contract extension. He's going to be around for a long time. I'm sure we'll see Corbin Carroll on a lot more top of those history book lists for the Diamondbacks going forward. But just another one to kind of watch. He's 2 away from the Diamondbacks all-time record for grand slams, but Carroll continues to mash for this team and just do everything. We'll talk a little bit about that specific home run a little later. It was off a left-handed pitcher. It was an inside changeup. He mashed it. He's been phenomenal against left-handed hitters. Just how good, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But like I mentioned, Tommy Troy, RBI triple in the 2nd, RBI single in the 3rd after a Lawlar double, his first career multi-homer game. And then I know I mentioned Tommy Troy, and he had a great day. He's in the 9-hole, 2 hits, 2 for 4. But then Jordan Lawlar as well. He had 2 hits. He's up to a 294 average and 841 OPS. He's playing a little bit of center field. He's looked awfully comfortable out there in center field, in my opinion. Thinking back to that jumping grab that he had against the Reds, that one definitely stands out. But I thought Jordan Lawlar's played a great center field. He's come at the perfect time. I mean, if you can have a Tommy Troy and a Jordan Lawlar in the 7 and the 9-hole, and they're going to consistently bring production, I'll take that every day of the week. And obviously, just Jordan Lawlar staying healthy, that's key number 1. Former number 4 overall prospect in baseball. You just want to see him consistently play. I think everybody does at this point. If you're a fan of baseball, if you're a fan of the Diamondbacks, he's just so talented. And to see him consistently get playing time and see him finally play well while he's gotten the playing time, that's been really fun to watch. Gabriel Moreno had 3 hits and a double. He's been great as of late. The homers have started to pick up a little bit. He's moved up into that 4-hole after Nolan Arenado has struggled and moved kind of down to the 5-6 hole. But Moreno's been great. He's proving himself as being one of the best catchers in the league right now. Again, another big day for him, and to see him have these big days on when Diamondbacks are playing well. He's up to a 277 average and an 817 OPS. You'll take that from your catcher every single year on top of the phenomenal defense that he plays. Just a great day for the offense overall. Need these kind of progress days when looking at the offense. Carroll, Marte, Perdomo, and then the bottom of the order, Lawlar and Troy have just been nice additions to the team as of late. Like I said, the reinforcements have consistently come, so you're looking at how this team's slumping. You're still getting Santana. Who knows where you're going to get with Santana. Hopefully Kepler can be a little better than he is last year, but they're coming. Progression, these young guys, they're really showing up. Baseball season is here and now, and you can trade every game on Call Sheet. Just like this matchup tomorrow, the Angels are trading at a 44% probability to beat the A's, meaning a $100 payout pays out $218.69 if they win. On Call Sheet, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Call Sheet app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade for 10. KALSHI Call Sheet. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see callsheet.com/regulatory. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Ado comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent, it's about having everyone work towards the same goal. And that's true in sports just like it is business. Think back to the Corbin Carroll extension in 2023, a deal looked upon very highly now. You can tell this wasn't just a reactionary move. The organization had a vision, stuck to it, and now you're seeing the results because everyone was working from the same playbook. Greater organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's ODOO.com/lockedon. We are back. Get your daily Diamondbacks coverage completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your team without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedondiamondbacks.supercast.com to claim your free trial. Now, we talked a little bit about the offense, Tommy Troy, Jordan Lawlar, all of that progression, but I really wanted to touch on the start from Eduardo Rodriguez. 7 innings pitched, like I mentioned earlier, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. His ERA is the 5th lowest in the entire big leagues. That's better than Yoshinobu Yamamoto when just looking down the list of kind of some of the guys that he's in front of right now. He's ahead of Dylan Cease. He's ahead of Max Meyer. He's ahead of Paul Skeens. He's ahead of Soroka, DeGrom, Joe Ryan, Ranger Suarez. A lot of really talented pitchers, and just below Chris Sale, Chase Burns, Cam Schlittler, Christopher Sanchez, Jacob Mizorowski. So he's in that ballpark of some of the best pitchers in the big leagues last year. And that kind of arises the question, has Eduardo Rodriguez built himself a case to be an all-star this year? Obviously, player or fan voting is not a part of pitchers. Fans are not available to vote on pitchers. It's kind of the player association, the coaches pick pitchers. But I think there's definitely a case for Eduardo Rodriguez to be an all-star this year. I know the underlying numbers don't love Eduardo Rodriguez, and that's kind of what we'll break down and see, is this really sustainable for him? But I think for him to have the 5th lowest ERA in the big leagues, he's pitched in a lot of innings. He's pitched deep into games. He's had standout innings against some good teams. I think there's definitely reason to believe that he could be the all-star pitcher for the Diamondbacks. I think you're safe to assume that Corbin Carroll is going to be an all-star, even though fan voting doesn't love him right now, but fan voting is disastrous. That's another topic for a later time. But I think Eduardo Rodriguez has definitely built himself a case to be an all-star this year. And I think today is another start to say that he deserves a spot on that all-star team, if it's not Michael Soroka, who also has another case Friday. Hopefully he'll build onto that to be an all-star. But he allowed the leadoff homer to Zach Neto, then pretty much cruised through the next 6 innings. It was a strong response after the Cincinnati Reds outing that he had this past weekend. Just 2 2/3, 5 walks, 85 pitches. He really just couldn't find the strike zone. It was a really weird outing where he got out of bases loaded jam in the first inning without allowing a single run to score, and then just kind of dragged through the next 2 innings of possible work. And he just didn't have it. And you thought maybe, oh boy, is there regression coming? His expected ERA is in the high 4s. Is this the new Eduardo Rodriguez that you're about to see? He had such a bad season last year. Is he reverting to that? But this was definitely a start to make you think he's still a better pitcher. He's still in maybe improvements, and he's going to ride on to a much better year than he had last year. But what changed for Eduardo Rodriguez based on the last start? He actually looked like more of the Eduardo Rodriguez we've seen most of the year. 4-seam usage jumped back to 56% after dropping to 39% in his previous starts. Just felt like he couldn't find that pitch last time out, and the fastball has been his best pitch all season long. He relied less on his secondaries. He threw his changeup 23% of the time, his curveball 18% of the time. But the fastball, like I mentioned, it led the way. 29% called strike whiff percentage. It generated all 5 strikeouts, just 2 hits allowed on 6 balls hit and play, and an 81.3 mile per hour average exit velocity. The curveball was effective once again. That was the pitch that really worked for him in that start against the Nationals. Even though he gave up 4 earned runs, that pitch was getting a lot of swing and a miss, diving deep into the zone. a 28% called strike whiff percentage, a 44% chase rate, a 72% strike rate. If he's getting those off-speed pitches in for strikes, it just makes them look so much more threatening below the zone, and he can get those whiffs. And he did, like I mentioned, 44% chase rate, and that comes from throwing that pitch in the zone at first strikes. He mixed it effectively against lefties, who saw it 64% of the time. I'm definitely starting to learn with this Diamondbacks pitching rotation. There's a lot of off-speed pitches that these guys will mix in exclusively to left-handers. You'll see Michael Soroka on Friday almost throw that changeup exclusively only to left-handers. He won't throw it to righties at all. It wasn't a dominant swing and a miss outing for Rodriguez. 23% called strike whiff overall. Only 11 whiffs, only 5 strikeouts. But unlike Cincinnati's 62% strike rate, 63% first pitch strike rate, and he worked ahead enough to complete 7 innings on exactly 100 pitches, which fittingly enough, it is win number 100 for Eduardo Rodriguez, who's had a bumpy career, obviously came out of the gate strong with Boston, stint in Detroit, but had a rough year last year. But definitely a worthwhile accomplishment and a milestone for Eduardo Rodriguez, who's had a long career, definitely maybe longer than I ever would have thought that he's had so far. And for him to sort of reinvent himself this year in this way, definitely great for him and very fitting that it ended on 100 pitches. But that 65% strike rate and first pitch strike rate, that's really vital for Eduardo Rodriguez. We saw with Merrill Kelly yesterday, if he gets behind in accounts, he just doesn't have dominating enough stuff to be able to just sneak in a 92-mile-per-hour fastball on a 2-0 count. Those pitches are going to go a long way. So we've talked about Eduardo Rodriguez, and although he's not the star on the team, I think it was really important to talk about his progression and getting back to square one, the all-star case. But let's talk about the superstar on the team. Let's talk about the guy that's going to force Arizona back to where they want to be, like they did in 2023. Corbin Carroll had a grand slam today. It came off a lefty who Corbin Carroll struggled against lefties earlier in his career. He definitely didn't have the reverse splits that he has now, but I wanted to throw up kind of a stat that I found that I thought was really interesting about why Corbin Carroll has been so good against left-handed hitters. Let's see. Corbin Carroll came into today with a 1.081 OPS against lefties, 7th best in the MLB, while his 197 WRC plus ranked 6th. He's also been one of just 5 left-handed hitters since 2000 to bat .380 against lefties, minimum 80 plate appearances, joining his childhood hero, Ichiro Suzuki, Barry Bonds, and David Ortiz. Yeah, that's not a bad list to be a part of. Certainly not at all. Corbin Carroll has proved to be one of the best hitters in the entire league against left-handed pitching, probably the best left-on-left, if you were to say so. It's undoubtedly the hardest platoon in baseball in terms of left-on-left versus right-on-right. So how has he been so successful? Well, why it's working is I was reading up on a few articles about Corbin Carroll and what he's done differently. Well, Carroll has moved roughly 3 inches farther off the plate this season, the biggest shift of any hitter in baseball. Only 3 players stand farther away from the plate. Now, to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. So here's Carroll, a little bit of a blurry image here, but you can see his back foot a little away from the plate. Even the leg lift makes himself look like he's closer to the plate than you might think. But for Carroll, why it's working, it's easier to get pitches inside. Lefties have a harder time consistently throwing strikes away, where he was really successful hitting those outside pitches early in his career, but he was struggling with the inside pitches because he was closer to the plate. And it forces them to challenge him over the plate, like we saw today. Let's see if I can move this here. That was the changeup that he hit for a monster home run today. That inside changeup obviously swings and misses at that fastball and then adjusts on that changeup inside, and maybe a pitch that he wouldn't have been able to handle so easily earlier in his career. The approach has improved to swinging less. He's more selective. His chase rate has gone down significantly. He's taking more first pitches and getting into more favorable counts. So just the approach overall, and how he's handling left-handed pitching, how he's handling that inside pitch, That's been really important for Corbin Carroll this season, and it's shown results. Now, I think the question can arise is the way that he's been changing his approach at the plate. Is it changing how he's affecting himself against right-handed hittings because he's or right-handed pitchers? Because he's hitting about 230, 220, I believe, against right-handed pitching this year, which you would never be able to guess for how great of a season Corbin Carroll has had. His OPS is north of 900. Like I mentioned, 13 home runs. He consistently shows up every day. And you wouldn't be able to know that he struggled against right-handed pitching this year, but he definitely has. But that might be a question for another day. But just kind of looking, the biggest difference is last year he struggled against left-handed breaking balls, and this year he's recognizing them earlier and he's making a lot more contact. Loud contact at that, like we saw with that grand slam. It's been a great year for Corbin Carroll, and I think there's plenty to still improve on, but the left-handed just dominance that he's shown is historical. Have you ever noticed the second you search for something online, ads for that exact same thing start following you everywhere? Or maybe you're traveling, trying to access a website, stream a game, or watch content you usually use at home, and suddenly you're hit with that message, this content isn't available in your region. That's why more and more people are turning to Proton VPN. Proton VPN is a secure VPN service designed for people who want more privacy, more security, and more control over how they experience the internet. It helps you keep your online activity private, protects your data on public Wi-Fi, and gives you access to the internet the way it should work, open, secure, and on your terms. Unlike most VPNs, Proton is backed by strong European privacy laws, has a strict, independently verified no-logs policy, and is built by a company focused on protecting users, not tracking them. In baseball, we spend a lot of time talking about gaining an edge and controlling what you can control. The same idea applies online. Having the right tools can make a huge difference in your day-to-day experience. It's always frustrating when you're on the road and suddenly something you use all the time isn't available. That's one of those moments where having a tool like Proton VPN just makes life easier because you're not running into those unnecessary roadblocks. It's easy to get started. Right now, Proton VPN is offering our listeners 70% off a 2-year plan when you go to protonvpn.com/lockedonmlb. That's protonvpn.com/lockedonmlb for 70% off your 2-year plan. That's protonvpn.com/lockedonmlb. Workplace chaos can show up fast. The problem is that finding the right candidate can take a lot more time than most businesses can afford. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. Think about Michael Soroka, the signing in the offseason with the Diamondbacks. Some of the best moves organizations make aren't always the splashiest ones. Sometimes it's finding the person who fits exactly what the team needs at the right moment. That's what stood out to me here, and it's the same idea behind Indeed Sponsored Jobs, helping connect organizations with candidates who are the right fit from the start. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of the show will get $75 sponsored jobs credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Now the Diamondbacks turn their attention to the Minnesota Twins, see another Michael Soroka start. Hopefully Zach Gallen can continue and build some momentum himself after a nice start against the Reds over the weekend that helped him clinch the rubber match. The Diamondbacks, a series win over the Angels, a series win over the Reds. Definitely progress. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, just half a game out of the wild card spot. But it feels like every team is half a game out of the wild card spot right now. The Nationals are tied with the same record in the Padres, who have a wild card spot. The Cubs are also half game out. The Pirates are a game and a half out. The Marlins are 2 games out. So a lot of teams that are really right there. But I think continuing to win the close games. I know they won a big one today, but continuing to win those one-run games like we saw them win the first game of the series against the Angels, that will be really important for them going forward. I found some stats. 30% of games since 2013 have ended in one run or less. The Diamondbacks have played the second most one-run games in the big leagues, so have to continue. Bullpen will be important. Runners in scoring position has to improve. It was a little better this series, but has to improve. The Rays and the Cardinals on the horizon. Those are two teams that are second in their respective divisions. Those are two teams. The Diamondbacks are 11-23 against teams below 500. Those are two teams above 500. So for the Diamondbacks to hopefully play up to their competition for once, not have to survive off these bottom feeding teams, the teams like the Rockies and the Giants and the Angels, the Reds as of late, want to be able to have some upset series wins going forward. Have to get some signatures, have to play up, have to build some consistency. Can't just hope that your schedule is the reason that you're winning games going forward before the trade deadline. But obviously some news this morning. Mike Hazen announced before the game on Arizona Sports that the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be buyers at the trade deadline. Not entirely surprising. I would be shocked if a team a game out of a wildcard spot would be selling. But we don't really know how these next few weeks are going to go. Maybe the Diamondbacks go on a huge slump. Maybe that means they're buyers anyways. Who knows? I don't expect them to just drop dead. But that'll bring some news for us going forward, for me to talk about some trade deadline news, talk about some players the Diamondbacks could target. Jeff Passan put out an article where the Diamondbacks were listed as potential suitors in 18 of his top 25 trade deadline targets. Now that's more so just him saying that the Diamondbacks need a lot of pieces, and they were listed starting pitching, relief pitching, outfielders. Obviously, AJ Puck, Justin Martinez, Corbin Burnes are coming back at some point in the season. So do the Diamondbacks feel like those pieces are trade deadline acquisitions in themselves, as in them coming back? Diamondbacks obviously need a power hitter in the lineup. Can't have Pavin Smith, James Groover, Carlos Santana for the rest of the season if they're going to continue the production they've had. But we'll talk about trade targets. We'll talk about what the Diamondbacks need. We'll talk about plenty more in the next episode. Thank you for listening to my first episode of Locked On Diamondbacks. Thank you for tuning in today. Make sure you subscribe and follow to the podcast to get all your latest episodes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me at G1 Media. I put my Twitter up there, kind of a screenshot of me. I want to post a lot more Diamondback stuff. I want to talk about the team. I want to break down pitching outings. I want to do all that. I've covered ASU baseball for the last 2 years. I put my all into that. I want to put my all into this. So I hope you follow along. If you never missed an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Diamondbacks ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedondiamondbacks.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you over to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On podcast YouTube channel. On audio for your second listen, go check out the Locked On MLB. If you have any ideas for me, anything you want me to talk about going forward, please let me know. Please comment below. I'll have all the tags. I'll have all the information. Make sure I'm consistent on here going forward. It's going to be Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Those will be when videos will be up every day. Hopefully do some post-game videos talking about the team. I want to talk about this team as much as possible. Can't wait to learn the ins and outs of every part of this team. But hope you enjoyed the first episode. Again, subscribe down below. Thank you so much.